Have you ever felt a storm brewing inside you, threatening to burst at the slightest provocation? It's a feeling many of us know too well, where anger seems like an uncontrollable force shaping our actions and words. But what if I told you that this storm could be calmed, that anger could become as fleeting as a shadow, leaving behind a serene heart and a clear mind? This might challenge everything you've believed about emotions, particularly anger. You might think, anger is just part of being human, right? Yet, the Stoics, ancient philosophers who mastered the art of living, beg to differ. They offer us a provocative perspective. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it, Marcus Aurelius muses. This isn't about suppressing or ignoring anger. It's about understanding its roots and reshaping our response to it. So I ask you now, when was the last time anger took the driver's seat in your life? Can you imagine a different outcome? Stick with me, and I promise you a transformation, a journey from being at the mercy of your emotions to standing firm in the face of life's storms. Are you ready to redefine your relationship with anger? Let's dive into the wisdom of Stoicism and embark on this path together. Understanding anger in a Stoic context. In the Stoic view, emotions aren't random forces of nature to be feared or suppressed, but are responses to our judgments about the world. Anger, then, is not something that happens to us, but something we allow to happen through our perceptions and beliefs. Stoicism teaches us that by changing these underlying judgments, we can change our emotional responses. Why focus on anger specifically? Because it's perhaps the most destructive of emotions, capable of clouding our reason and leading us into actions we later regret. Anger can sever relationships, escalate conflicts, and even harm our own health. It's the antithesis of the Stoic ideal of living according to reason and virtue. The Stoics didn't just philosophize about anger, they lived their teachings. Seneca, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, wrote extensively on anger, calling it the most hideous and frenzied of all the emotions. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, often wrote reminders to himself in his personal notes, later published as meditations, about controlling his temper and viewing situations with detachment and understanding. These insights are not mere relics of the past, but living wisdom that can be applied today. By understanding that anger stems from our judgments and that we have the power to change those judgments, we open the door to managing our emotions more effectively. This Stoic approach to anger doesn't require us to become emotionless robots, but instead to become masters of our inner world, navigating life's challenges with calm and clarity. Let's delve deeper into the Stoic strategies for managing anger, not by denying this fiery emotion, but by understanding and redirecting it. Historical perspectives on anger. The Stoics were not alone in their contemplation of anger. This emotion has been a subject of philosophical debate across cultures and eras. Seneca, in his essays, offered a particularly scathing view of anger, describing it as a temporary madness that can lead to irreversible consequences. He argued that anger arises not from external events, but from our internal judgments and expectations being thwarted. Marcus Aurelius, another Stoic heavyweight, urged a perspective of compassion and understanding towards those who incite our anger, proposing that we are all part of a larger whole. This interconnectedness, he suggested, means that harm done in anger is, in essence, harm done to oneself. Epictetus, meanwhile, emphasized the importance of distinguishing between what is within our control and what isn't. He posited that by accepting the uncontrollable nature of external events, we can maintain our inner peace, thus disarming anger before it takes hold. Across the globe, Buddhist philosophy echoes this sentiment, viewing anger as a chain that binds us to suffering. Similarly, Aristotle saw it not as an emotion to be eradicated, but as one to be moderated, aiming for a virtuous mean. These historical perspectives underline a common thread. Anger, while a universal experience, is not an immovable force. It's a challenge to our reason, a test of our virtue, and, perhaps most importantly, a call to introspection and growth. The science of anger. Understanding anger isn't just a philosophical endeavor. Modern science offers insights into this potent emotion. Neurologically, anger initiates in the amygdala, the brain's alarm system, triggering a cascade of physiological responses designed for fight or flight. This primal reaction floods our bodies with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, preparing us for immediate action. But what happens when this ancient mechanism is activated not by a physical threat, but by a frustrating email or a harsh word? The physical toll of anger becomes apparent. Chronic anger has been linked to a range of health issues, from increased risk of heart disease to weakened immune system function. It's a clear indication that while our environment has evolved, our biological responses have lagged behind. Psychologically, anger can be a response to perceived threats to our esteem, autonomy, or safety, echoing the Stoics' view that it's our perception of events, not the events themselves, that ignites our fury. This understanding suggests that by reshaping our perceptions, we can mitigate our angry reactions, aligning modern psychology with ancient Stoic wisdom. In this light, anger is not just an emotion to be battled, but a signal to be understood, indicating where our expectations clash with reality and offering a path to greater self-awareness and health. Practical Stoic strategies for managing anger. The Stoics provided not just a philosophy for understanding anger, but practical strategies for managing it. Here are several Stoic practices tailored for the modern individual, seeking to temper their reactions and cultivate a more peaceful disposition. Mindfulness and awareness. The first step in managing anger is recognizing its onset. Mindfulness, the practice of being present and fully engaged with the here and now, allows us to observe our emotions without being swept away by them. By becoming aware of the physical sensations and thoughts that accompany anger, we can create a space between stimulus and response, offering us the choice of how to proceed. The dichotomy of control. Central to Stoicism is understanding what is within our control and what is not. Anger often arises from our desire to control the uncontrollable, other people's actions, thoughts, or life's unpredictable events. By focusing our energy on our own actions, responses, and thoughts, which are within our control, we can reduce the frustration that leads to anger. Reframing thoughts. Our interpretation of events can fuel our anger. The Stoic practice of reframing involves challenging these interpretations and seeking more constructive perspectives. Instead of viewing a situation as an affront or injustice, we can ask ourselves what we can learn from it, how it might strengthen us, or even how it might be a misunderstanding. The pause technique. Before reacting in anger, the Stoics advise taking a pause. This pause can be a deep breath, a step back, or a moment of silence. It provides a buffer against immediate, often regrettable reactions, allowing us to respond with reason rather than emotion. Empathy and understanding. Finally, the Stoics encourage us to cultivate empathy towards those who might incite our anger. Understanding that everyone is fighting their own battles and often acting out of ignorance or their own unmanaged emotions can transform anger into compassion. Through these practices, Stoicism offers not just a way to manage anger, but to transform it. By recognizing our emotional triggers, focusing on what we can control, reframing our perceptions, pausing before reacting, and cultivating empathy, we can navigate life's challenges with a sense of calm and resilience. It's a journey towards not just managing anger, but understanding ourselves more deeply and living more harmoniously with the world around us. Applying Stoic wisdom in daily life. Stoic principles aren't just theoretical, they're meant to be lived. Integrating Stoicism into daily life can transform how we experience and express anger. Here's how to practically apply Stoic wisdom. Recognize triggers. Begin by identifying situations or interactions that commonly spark anger. Awareness allows for preparation and a more measured response when these situations arise. Pause and reflect. When a potential anger trigger occurs, use the pause technique. Take a moment to breathe and reflect on why you're reacting with anger. Is it within your control? What's a more constructive response? Practice empathy. Before reacting, consider the other person's perspective. They may be acting out of their own struggles or ignorance. This doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but understanding it can diffuse anger. Focus on what you can control. Remind yourself that the only thing truly within your control is how you choose to respond. This perspective is empowering and can significantly reduce feelings of frustration and anger. Reflect daily. End your day by reflecting on your responses to potentially anger-inducing situations. Consider what you handled well and what could be improved. This practice fosters growth and greater mastery over your reactions. By applying these Stoic strategies, you can start to see everyday challenges as opportunities for personal growth, rather than sources of frustration. This shift in perspective is key to a more peaceful and harmonious life. Transformative stories. The power of Stoicism in managing anger is best illustrated through transformative stories, spanning from historical figures to individuals in the modern era. Historical figures. Consider the story of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor. Amidst the pressures of leading an empire and facing betrayal, he utilized Stoic principles to maintain composure and reason instead of succumbing to anger. His personal writings, filled with reflections on controlling emotions, serve as a testament to the practical application of Stoicism. Modern examples. In today's fast-paced world, the story of a high school teacher stands out. Faced with daily challenges and the potential for conflict, she adopted Stoic practices, particularly the pause technique and empathy. This approach transformed her classroom environment, reducing her stress levels and improving student engagement and respect. Another compelling example comes from a corporate executive who, after discovering Stoicism, began to reframe his perception of workplace conflicts. By focusing on what was within his control and extending understanding towards others' viewpoints, he not only managed his anger more effectively, but also fostered a more collaborative and positive work culture. These stories underscore the timeless and universal applicability of Stoic wisdom. Whether ruling an empire, teaching a classroom, or leading a team, the principles of mindfulness, reflection, empathy, and focusing on the controllable can dramatically reshape our emotional landscape. They remind us that the strength to manage anger and transform our experiences comes from within, guided by the wisdom of Stoicism. Conclusion: the path forward. As we've journeyed through the Stoic philosophy on managing anger, we've uncovered ancient wisdom that's remarkably relevant today. We've explored the roots of anger in our perceptions, learned practical strategies for managing it, and heard transformative stories that illustrate the power of Stoic principles in action. The key takeaway is clear. While anger is a natural emotion, our response to it is within our control. By adopting a Stoic approach, focusing on what we can control, practicing empathy, and engaging in mindful reflection, we can navigate life's challenges with a calm and rational mind. Now, I invite you to take the first step on this path. Choose one Stoic practice to integrate into your daily life. Whether it's the pause technique, reframing your thoughts, or simply being more mindful of your triggers, each small step is a move towards a more peaceful and fulfilling life. Share your journey and experiences in the comments below. How have you managed anger in the past? And how do you plan to apply Stoic wisdom moving forward? Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Stoicism and anger management. Remember, the journey to mastering our emotions is ongoing, but with each step, we grow stronger and more serene. Together, let's embrace the Stoic path to a more harmonious life.